Well, good morning. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love fishing great big venues like this. Big wild reservoirs like this and lakes, loads of them across the country. Probably a little bit underfished, but they make for a welcome break from commercial fishing and rivers and that sort of thing. But why am I here? Well, recently I qualified for the Feedermasters final, and the final venue is Bough Beech Reservoir, which is in Kent, which is a good 2.5 hours on a good day from me. So actually getting there to practice is it's tough. It's hard to get down there with any sort of regularity. So this place is on my doorstep, and while the fishing here is a lot better than Bough Beech, I could catch 200 pounds today quite easily. It gives me somewhere to come, test out, try out my feeders, try out my baits, make sure my casting's good, make sure my braid's right, and more importantly as well, gives me a chance to fish in 30 foot of water, which at Bough Beech is a real possibility that you will be fishing in depths, maybe even more than that, up to 40 feet in places. And there's not, I don't know many places like that in this country, so certainly not that I've got easy access to. So this place serves as a great practice ground for me. I can come along here. Today I've turned up at 6 in the morning now. I'm just going to get in a few hours before work. I just thought I'd let you in on a little bit of a practice session. So should we get some kit out and have a go? So just recently I've been doing a lot of fishing down here, and I've actually I used to fish here just with fish meal mixes exclusively, and used to catch loads of big bream, and to be fair, kind of thought that was all that was in here, but more recently I've sort of come back to a more natural, traditional sweet mix sort of slant and approach, and it's been working really well for me. And it might be something to consider when I go to Bough Beech. There's a lot of fish in Bough Beech other than bream. There's a lot of skimmers, big roach, that sort of thing, and maybe a sweeter style mix may just be the one. So what I've gone for today, just to be honest with you, I've just gone for something that I know works, so nothing too exciting. I've got a bag of Dynamite skimmer mix, nice sweet ground bait, plenty of bread in there, plenty of nice spicy bits and bobs in there. I've got a bag of the Match Black, Frenzied Hemp Match Black, which, to be honest, is a bit of a find. This is, I spend a lot of time speaking to Steve Ringer and anglers such as that, and they use this a lot in Ireland. And this place in Bough Beech, wild venues, they're not fished heavily, and this seems to be a great mix for them sort of venues where the fish are wild and they're not used to being caught. So it's also jet black, which is great. I like that ground bait anyway, so having this in the mix will just take it down a notch, and the fish seem to love it. And finally, we've got some crushed hemp. Now, this is something I've been experimenting with a lot of late, and not only does it add a great food element to your mix, as in you get loads of nice hempy particles in there, but you also get some oils, which I'm convinced fish love oils. Done a lot of pellet fishing with adding various oils and whatnot, and fish absolutely love them. But also it helps break your ground bait down out of the feeder, which on some days is really, really important. Like today, I'm expecting bites as soon as the feeder touches the bottom, maybe even on the drop. So I want my bait out of the feeder quickly. I don't want to be reeling in with my bait still in the feeder, and I'm dispersing the bait where I don't want it. I want it to come out as soon as it touches the bottom, and this stuff with its activity really helps that. So yeah, nice simple 3-prong mix. Yeah, should we get some mixed up and see how we get on? Okay, so I've just quickly knocked up the ground bait, and when everything's added together, there's a good 2.5 kilos of dry ground bait there. So it's going to take a lot of water. Now I've added about probably close to 3 pints of water there, and as you can see, you might just be able to catch that. It is just slightly too wet for what I'd want, But the reason is, there's a good reason for this, because I've put loads of crushed hemp in there, that takes a lot of water on board. So what I've got to do, I've got to saturate the mix to a point like that. I'd like that for pole fishing, but for feeder fishing it's just a bit too wet. So what I'm going to do, this is the reason why I've done this first. I mixed up my ground bait as soon as I've got here, just to allow all that crushed hemp and bread and brown crumb and everything just to take on all that water, and in probably 3/4 of an hour time when I'm ready to fish, it'll be absolutely bang on. Quick rub through the riddle and it'll be perfect. But yeah, that's a good point. If you are going to try this crushed hemp, either prepare it home separately by adding hot water to it. That's a good way. Pour some boiling water in a tub, just like that. Just a normal bait tub. Put your crushed hemp in it and add some boiling water out of the kettle into it, and just leave it overnight. Then add that to your ground bait, or do it this way. Just add it to your ground bait, and then saturate your mix. Yeah, this is the most active way of getting your ground bait for the feeder. You know, it should burst out of that feeder nicely, and hopefully catch me loads of fish. Right, so I've got my bucket of groundbait there. That's just rested nicely, ready to just take on all that water. And I'll just run you through the baits that I've got here, and it couldn't be more simple. It's very, very down a traditional route. I've got some dead maggots, as you can see. Horrible, nasty bronze dead maggots that I had left over from a river session. Like I say, today's more about practicing, getting used to the deep water, getting used to what feeders I need. It's not necessarily about catching loads of fish. I do want to catch some fish because I want to, make sure my hooks and rods and everything are right. But the key is to make sure my tackle's right more than anything. So I've got some old maggots there, dead maggots, essential on any sort of bream feeder fishing. I've got some good casters, a couple of pints of them. I've got some hemp. Now, hemp's not a bait that a lot of people use when feeder fishing, but I've found, especially here, that the fish love it, the bream love it as well. For whatever reason, the bream absolutely love hemp here. So I'm more than happy to try and get through a couple of pints of that. I've got about 3 or 4 pints of that with me. And then last but by no means least, just for hook baits, I've got some floating red maggots. Now all I've done with them, I've just got some nice fresh maggots, and I've added a bit of water to them, just enough just to cover them so they can wriggle around in that. Leave them for an hour or so and they should be nice and buoyant. They don't float, but they just take that, just slow the fall of the hook bait down, which today I could be catching a lot of hybrids, £1, £2 mark, and I kind of want them to catch them on the drop, so they'll be perfect for that. I've got some worms with me, I've got some red worms just in case, and I've also got some sweet corn. Sweet corn can be a great bait, just on any sort of natural venue, especially today. I've noticed there's a lot of small roach topping today, more than I've ever seen here before actually, and sweet corn might be a bait just to allow me to fish for them better fish, the bigger hybrids, the bigger roach and a few bream. So yeah, simple bait selection, and simple is best, I think, on waters like this. Right, I guess a huge part of why I'm here today is learning how to fish these deep, wild waters like this. I mean, the depth that you're fishing is just as crucial whether you're pole fishing on a commercial. You've got to get tight to the far bank in shallow water or in the margins. Some days they're in deeper water, some days in shallow water. Well, venues like this are no different, it's just on a much bigger scale. Some days the fish want to be right out in 30, 40 foot of water. Other days they'll probably want to be a bit closer, and a lot depends on the species that you're targeting on the day. Today I want to try and catch a mixed net of fish, so I'm looking to fish in a bit shallower water. Now I've had the deeper start, I've had a cast out with that, and at 30 metres it's a nice 24 to 25 foot, about 24.5 foot, which, nice depth today, I'm going to fish there. So I've clipped my fishing rod up at the same distance, and I'm just going to have a cast and just see, we know the depth's 25 foot, there or thereabouts, so let's see. First I've got an ounce bomb on, let's just see what the count is, because this is so important. Right, we're on the clip, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's an 8 count. So that's 20. We know it's 24 to 25 foot deep, and we've got an 8 count with an ounce bomb. So let's just do it again, just for consistency. 6, 7, 8, 9. So 8 to 9 seconds. I was a bit. Now let's try it with a heavier lead, because that's with an ounce Guru square pair, and I've got an 1.5 ounce Guru distance lead here, which is a nice lead for this sort of thing, and just see what the difference is. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's only 2 seconds difference, remarkably. So yeah, that's interesting stuff for you. We know it's 25 foot, we've used a deeper, we know how deep it is. That's incredibly accurate. And we know that with an ounce bomb, the ounce square pair, it's a 9 count. And with an 1.5 ounce distance lead, it's a 6, 7 count. So something to bear in mind there. If you are fishing these sort of deep waters, looking for certain depths, and we'll see if that is the right depth today. Maybe they have to come closer in as the day progresses, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and hopefully catch some fish along the way. So. So just before I get fishing, I thought I'd just quickly run you through the tackle I'm using. Pretty standard stuff really. I've got a 3.8 metre, 12'6" Matrix Horizon XC class. Lovely rod this, really soft. But it's still, because of its length, I've got a bit of poke to fish, sort of 50 metres if I want to. I've got a 520 Centris reel, 012 Absolute feeder braid, which I've made sure I've wetted up with my trusty sprayer. On my first video, loads of people asked why I kept spraying my spool, and this is why. Braid's a nightmare for tangling if it's dry, so especially on a hot day like this, you've got to keep it, just give it a spray every few, I do it sort of every half hour just out of peace of mind. Keep that braid wet and you won't have any problems whatsoever. Setup's really simple, like I say, 012 Absolute feeder braid, and I've got a very short shock leader on. Now normally I like to have 5 arms length of 12-pound Shimano Technium shock leader. Super tough, super durable shock leader, but because I'm fishing quick today, I'm looking to catch smaller fish. I want the direct bite registration that braid offers. I'm not casting a long way, so I don't need to worry about crack offs or anything like that. But what I have got is 1 metre, probably not even 1 metre, 2 foot of the 12-pound Technium, to which I've got my rig. My rig there's a 2-inch feeder link there. My good friend Andy Pell at Chiltern Baits makes me them. It's as simple as you like. We've got a probably 3-inch twizzle boom and 2 number 8 stops just on the knot to stop the thing. As you can see, kicks it away like that, and I just find that this setup works well for me. The reason I've got this really short shock leader on is I don't like casting off of the braid. I just feel like the wear and tear may just come back to haunt me at the end of the day. I might get some crack offs where the feeder's constantly sitting against the braid. So just a short piece of line just to fish off. Still free running and everything, but just means that I've got a bit of the robustness that a 12-pound line offers me. But yeah, super simple. I'm going to use a size 12 Tubertini Series 18, great hook, one that I really favour. So I'm going to talk you through the feeders when I get fishing. I think we should get some bait in and get some fish caught. Right then, we've got everything sorted, rods are sorted. We've got to find the depth that we want to fish, that 25 foot mark at 30 metres. It's time to get some fishing done, I think. So I've got my feeding rod here, and I'm just going to put in 2 Guru bait up cages in, full of bait, just to kick start the peg. Just 2 of them, not big feeders by any means, but I'm just going to put in a pinch of casters and plenty of emp, and I'm just going to put 2 in, more to create a bit of activity in the swim, to be honest with you. I want to be casting in and out every couple of minutes with that. So let's just see what we can do. So that's right on the money. I'm lined it with a far bank marker, and I'm not going to let this get to the bottom. I'm going to strike it out halfway down just to create a big column of bait like that. This is why I prefer doing it with a carp rod, because the stiffer action allows you to strike the bait out of the feeder much easier. Do the same again, casters, hemp, good dollop, Don't squeeze it in firmly. And that is it. That is all I'm going to put in to start with. Right on the mark. Beautiful. So let that go down. Probably count it down to like 5 seconds. Obviously a feeder takes longer, especially a 20 gram one. I'm just going to strike that out. I can feel the bait's out already. And that's it. Now it's a case of cracking on with the fishing rod. And first things first, I'm going to get hook length out. Like I said, size 12. It's a 10. Probably don't need a 10 just yet. There we go. Size 12, series 18, metre long hook length, which is a great starting point. 016 fluorocarbon. And I'm going to start on 40 gram smallest Guru exchange feeder. Now, I've long been a fan of the Matrix Horizon feeders, and I still am. But I found on rocky venues, these plastic feeders definitely sort of rise up much better than a wire feeder. So that's the reason for the change. I prefer the way the Matrix cast, but I think for pure fishability, these take some beating. You know, they feel easy. They don't snag up on anything. So I'm going to start on double maggot, say on a 12 hook, so we're not messing about. I'm just going to put a little blob of casters, a little blob of end pin, and we'll see how long it takes to get a bite. It might not take too long. There's plenty of fish out there, I know there is, so we'll just quickly fizz it out there. Nice. Now you may notice I'm not using a rear rest today. I'm going to be in and out, so there's no need. Right, so as you can see, that feeder picks up so quick, which I think is so important when you're in and out and fishing on these rocks like we are today. It's about getting busy, laying the foundations in your swim, and getting that bait going through the swim like we are doing. Make sure there's no tangles. Nice and smooth, keep everything smooth. Out we go. Point the rod at the feeder while it's sinking. Braid, you know, you want to take the stretch out, any bow out the braid, because it does take a while to sink, although this absolute stuff does sink well. So that's on the bottom, and just pull it back. Takes most of the bow out, and then it's just a case of tensioning the tip. Slowly but surely, and keeping an eye for bites, because a lot of your bites will come in that first few seconds. So get your next feeder load ready, pinch your hemp, pinch your casters, and we'll await the bite. It might take a bit of time. Right, so third cast, and we've got our first fish. Not a big fish by any means, but this is what I've come for, to have a good workout with these smaller fish. Great bite on that direct braid. Heavy bank of weed here, just close in. I remember it from once before when I fished here. Oh, lovely roach. We'll pan him. Brilliant. Great start. Let's have a little look. Look at that. Beautiful wild roach. Net that has never ever been caught, ever. Hopefully there's loads more where that came from. I should think there probably is. Beautiful. Slipping back. Did notice on the deeper that the fish were a little bit closer in, so it may be that a chuck at maybe 20 metres might be better, but it doesn't look too bad just yet. Whoa. What we got this time? Little skimmer. Nice. That's a little hybrid. Absolutely fantastic fishing, as always here. Again, slipping back. Not allowed to keep nets, so probably the reason why the fishing's so good here, to be honest with you. So let's just repeat the process again. But as you can see, every fish is, 6-8 ounce, so it'll take you long to put together a good weight. on the clip. No stopwatches or anything like that today, no need. It's just the bites are going to be too quick. So already that's only been on the deck for a few seconds, and I'm already thinking about reeling in because every bite I've had has just been as the feeder's touched the bottom, which suggests to me the fish are well off the bottom. I'm probably fishing too far out. There's a fish on there though. Obviously didn't see the bite, which is amazing when you're fishing braid, you know, direct, yet you still don't see the bite. Stuck in the weed. It's a nice skimmer. Look at that, what a beautiful fish. Look at that, glorious skimmer. Well, as is so often the case here, I'm probably 6th or 7th cast in, and I've got my first bream. It feels like a bream anyway. Certainly a big skimmer maybe. Yeah, it's very, there's a lot of bream in this venue, and it's inevitable that you're going to catch a few, no matter what you're doing. And swim had just gone quiet for small fish actually. And this fish was up. It's actually pulling really hard. I don't know if it might be foul hooked. Either that or it's a big hybrid, which there is a lot of them in here. I'm going to have to be a bit brutal with this because this weed is a real problem. What is it? That's a lovely fish, great big hybrid. Take it all back. Sorry, Mr. Bream. Oh, this is exactly what we've come for today. Look at that. Like fishing in Ireland. Yeah. What a beautiful fish. Look at him. So yeah, just look at that. What a beautiful fish. Every bit £2, probably a bit bigger, maybe even £3. It's ever so wide. Let's get him back, catch another one. So I just want to quickly talk about what I think has been my biggest lesson since sort of taking this feeder fishing game a lot more seriously, and it's something that can translate into any form of fishing, certainly not just feeder fishing, and it's the importance of a razor sharp hook, or packet sharp as I'll call it, because I've come to realise that unless your hook is as sharp as it is straight out the packet, then you're not fishing at 100%. And like if you think about it logically, if you've got a hook length on that's 50 centimetres, 80 centimetres, a metre, you know, you could even use a 6-foot hook length in Ireland. The fish has got so much scope to get away with it. There's so much slack line there for it to play with. Before it moves the feeder, it's got to move quite some distance. And of course, it's either against the tip or it's against the weight of the feeder that's going to drag the hook home. So you need that hook to be as sharp as it possibly can, so when that fish picks the hook bait up, before it actually reaches the feeder, it's already pricked itself, which might make it spook off and bolt against the feeder and hook itself. So that's my reasoning. Oh, good fish. Could be a bream. And so yeah, what happened was I was fishing on the tidal Trent actually, and it was a tidal Trent where I actually qualified for the Feedermasters final, and me and Rob Wootton were having a practice day, and as is always the case on the tidal Trent, we were missing bite after bite after bite. Rob's famous saying is if you can hit every single bite on the tidal Trent, you'd win every match, but it's not as easy as that. Anyway, I was missing every single bite, and it was doing me head in, to be honest. I tried different rigs, I tried different feeding, I tried different hook baits, tried different patterns of hooks. And it was only after a little while that the penny dropped, really. I was stuck in some weed. Oh, that's a big fish. Yeah. Whoa. And yeah, and I went from missing like hitting 1 in 10 bites. And I quickly put a fresh hook on. That's a big fish. And sure enough, the next fish I caught was a big fish. And then I sort of went on a run of hitting all the bites for like 10-15 minutes. And it was such an eye-opener that a fresh hook could make such a difference in terms of, you know, the fish that I caught and the fish that, you know, the bites that I hit. Look at that thing. Let's quickly just lift him up while we're talking to you. Look at that. Big old boy, isn't he? Absolute unit. Average stamping here, to be fair. So yeah, and it was that moment that it sort of twigged with me that, hang on a minute, my hook's probably not been sharp, and because I was using baits like a dead maggot or just slipping back, because I was using baits like a dead maggot or a piece of worm, baits that, you know, you're not necessarily critical about the condition, not like you would a live bait like a maggot or something. I wasn't really noticing that my hook was just, it wasn't even really like bad, just not quite packet sharp, and it made all the difference. So I quickly realised that what I needed to actually be doing, because the tidal trend's so rocky, and it's the same here today, it's rocky, fishing on a damn wall here today, so it stands to reason that everything's going to be rocky. I think you should be changing your hook every 15-20 minutes, I really do, and it makes me laugh because we spend hours tying hooks, and yet we seem reluctant to use them for fear of an empty hook box. Well, what's the point in tying them if you're not going to use them? So the biggest lesson I've learned, and it stood me in good stead, because when I actually qualified, I had that exact same scenario. It got to a point in my match where I was missing a lot of bites, and I knew straight away what I needed to do. Fresh hook on, and I started hitting the bites again. And it was just uncanny how often that happens. And like I say, it's relatable to pole fishing, because when I used to do a lot of F1 fishing, the amount of times I'd be fishing shallow, and because you're never putting a hook on, a bait on, because you're always banding your bait or herring your bait, you never actually test the point of the hook properly. And the amount of times you're fishing shallow and you feel it tap on the end, you know, an F1's got away with it. Got a fish there. And it's just so common in all styles of fishing. So yeah, it's been a real learning curve, that has, and it might sound like common sense, but it's certainly been something that I'm going to think about a lot more, and certainly change my hooks a lot more. Back down to earth with a smaller fish. But yeah, like I say, look at that beautiful fish. Bit of weed on his face. Right in the bottom lip. Beautiful. But I'm already, today I'm thinking my hook's a bit dull, I'm fishing over rocks. Got to be changing it, and this rings true. I mean, I found that all sort of patterns of hooks go blunt. It's not the Series 18s that I use or anything like that. It is literally just the terrain you're fishing on and the wear and tear. So just think about that. Maybe may sound like common sense, but you'd be surprised how often we leave a blunt hook on. So I'm just going to try to catch you one more fish. I hope it's been like an enjoyable little session for you there. I'm going to go home now and do some typing. Hopefully you've picked up a few bits there. Lots to consider. Massive liner then. There we go. Lots to consider. Groundbait mixes, sharp hooks, rigs. The depth one I think is massive. You know, get out on your local venue or where you plan to fish next. And just get to grips with what depths, you know, where the fish want to sit on certain days and stuff like that. That can only come with experience. But it's so important to your feed fishing game. Okay, a nice skimmer to end on. But yeah, most importantly, enjoy your fishing, because how can you not when you're catching fish like this on a beautiful natural water like that, I mean, look at that, glorious skimmer, 10 ounce probably, maybe a bit bigger on a venue like this, slipping back. Absolutely glorious. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.